I still consider her an absolute must-fuse unit without exception because she's so bad she'll be buffed. Welcome everybody to a guide on Carosa. At the time of filming this, she is currently the live fusion event in Watcher of Realms, and let's get right to it. She absolutely sucks. She is by far the worst fusion we have ever had in Watcher of Realms. You might be thinking, oh, she can't be that bad. No, she's that bad. She really is. You're going to see in this video, I'll do a bunch of head-to-head comparisons. She is not just replaceable by epics. The epics you can replace her with, regardless of however you want to use Carosa, the epics are better. They exceed her capabilities. That being said, you may have seen the thumbnail of this video, I still think she is a must-fuse for two key reasons. Let's start with the big one. Number one, she is really easy to get. This fusion has been incredibly easy, very generous. There's a lot of fragments, a lot of shards of her to get. No reason not to get her. Number two, the really key reason. She is so bad, there's no way she won't get buffed. She's so underwhelming and she's so poorly conceived, it is unthinkable she won't get buffed. If you think to other bad past fusions, Maw comes to mind. They haven't really needed to do much with Maw because his key role as a BP mule for things like Tide and most importantly Guild Wars, he excels so significantly in such a major way. Carosa does nothing like that. She has one interesting thing in her entire kit and it's extremely specific. So what am I talking about? Let's actually start there, then we'll go into the full kit breakdown, then I'll discuss gearing, and then we're gonna do a lot of head-to-head comparisons in Gear Raid 1, 21, no Power of Dominance. Everyone is in tier 1 gear. I'm trying to use broken sets whenever I can. And on top of that, there's no anti-healers. So additionally in this video, if you just want to learn a nice strat for stage 19, 20, and 21 in Gear Raid 1, I will provide that. But you're going to see, we're going to do Carosa versus Marri. Marri will win. We'll do Carosa versus Abyzou. Abyzou will win. All in all, she is Queen of the Farts. I think that's what we should call her. Maybe I'll even put in the video title, because she's just nothing. She really is.
Fastidious.
Fastidious.
What's the interesting, unique part of her kit? It's this over here. Very funny. She's a cultist mage, but they're calling her key feature Esoteric Wisdom. Maybe they meant for her to be an esotericist. I had these memories of her wearing a purple dress, but no, it's blue. She doesn't seem like a witch, right? She doesn't seem like a cultist. So maybe a little Glinda the Good Witch kind of vibe. I don't know. But yeah, maybe this should be a higher percentage and it should be a boost for cultists and esotericists as well. But no, it says increases all mages damage by 6%, only takes effect when Carosa is in the team. Key thing that makes it better than it sounds potentially. She just has to be on the team. She does not have to be deployed, and that brings us to the best use case for her. Bringing her onto your team, not deploying her because she sucks, but getting a little boost. It is specific though, because you need content where you have a lot of mages and where you have a free spot, where you can just bring someone to give a passive boost to the team, and you can afford to have a spot taken up by someone you do not want to deploy in that fight, right? This skill over here is reminiscent of the Ancient Blood kind of Lord Unnameable skill that Ymmerit and Ajax have. You can see this little infinity icon over here. Ancient Blood increases team members' damage by 4%. Ymmerit has the same thing. This is not restricted just to mages. Unlike Carosa, this damage boost is to all team members. However, it is less. That being said, if you get A2 Ajax or A2 Ymmerit, they have the effect increased by 2%, so they effectively get a 6% for everybody. But hey, they're rare unnamables, that's fine. Carosa doesn't need to be as good as them. The problem Carosa faces is if you're bringing Ymmerit or you're bringing Ajax for most content, you're thrilled to deploy them. They're very good heroes. Carosa, she's really only bringing that thing to the table that is unique. To make Carosa work, you'd have to be heading into content like 121, and you'd have to have an extra spot. So let's actually use an example here with the Marri version of this comp. You can see you put Marri in here, and actually that's enough, right? I only need 7 units for this comp. Maybe I'd want to deploy Aeon or something, who in certain ways could be better than Carosa as well, which is hilarious. But you can see there's an open slot here. You could totally bring Carosa. You do not need to deploy her. There you go, 6% boost for all your mages. So you can see Anora get the boost, Iona get the boost, even your support mages, right? That's a pretty cool use case, but it's really specific. It's rare, especially in harder content you're trying to min-max, that you just have a free spot lying around for a unit to bring what is effectively a very modest damage boost. You will barely notice the difference. When we do the head-to-head between Carosa and Marri, I'm going to be taking Carosa out of the team, and I'm leaving in Magda, so we have a fighter as a reference, and you're going to see it just doesn't really change things all that much. I will say the damage is all going to be higher because there's one less person dealing damage since Marri won't and Carosa does, but you're also going to see in the runs, Carosa's damage just isn't good. So let's talk about the kit right now and how they think of this character. I think the devs believe Carosa is this mage enabler, amazing debuffer that brings a decent, respectable amount of damage. In reality, she is a mediocre debuffer with mediocre damage that you're never going to skill up. So you will see her in this video, by the way, at fairly full potential. Like I said earlier in the video, I am running everyone in tier 1 gear, so in that respect, she'll be limited. But obviously the stats are pretty good. I have like all ancient gear on the test server, so I can't really afford not to do ancient gear. I will say, by the way, we're on the Fastidious test server. Thank you to Moonton, as always, for giving us the test server access. But yeah, we're here on the Fastidious test server. I did my best, you can see, to scale these builds back, make them reasonable. But right off the gate, sorry, I know I keep saying I want to talk about the kit, but look at this. You're like, wow, Fastidious, what a crappy build. You only got 10,000 attack on her. I cranked her attack up so high for using tier 1 gear. She just has 2,307 base attack. But again, I think the devs conceived that she would actually deal a lot of damage or a respectable amount of damage because they give all this attack boosting to her kit. But all those attack boosts do, as you're about to see, is bring her attack to a normal mediocre mage level. So she's just not effective. Not at all. But yeah, every other unit here is going to be in tier 1, even broken tier 1 when I can do it, or just normal tier 1. I tried to keep things pretty reasonable. You get the picture here. All the supports are in broken sets, so no one's getting invig or anything like that. Finally, at long last, let's discuss the kit. She's got this talent here. For every 6 basics she does, the next basic will summon this arcane realm. That's like the key feature in her kit. It's this kind of like AoE little circle. It's a fairly respectable debuffing little circle she creates. It has a radius of about 1 to 1.5 tiles. It's hard to see for sure, but it definitely touches all the enemies in the square around the center tile the realm is positioned in. So the 3 above, 3 below, 1 to the right side, 1 to the left side, and obviously the middle square. It is solid, and when enemies enter that arcane realm, they're going to be inflicted with magic vulnerability. So this is like a post-calculation increased damage taken from magic damage, and it is the biggest AoE magic vulnerability in the game by 5%. It ties Twin Fiend and Soul Cadence, and her uptime is better, so that is really nice. But that alone is not enough, and it actually does not have 100% uptime, right? So she triggers this every 6 basic attacks. It lasts for 5 seconds. So to achieve 100% uptime, she needs to have a basic attack interval of 0.8 seconds. You can do that because she does have the kind of support mage coding of having a base attack interval of 2.0 seconds, but especially if you want to build her for any semblance of damage, which I think maybe most people shouldn't because her damage is not that good, but if you did want to do that, you'd have to lean very heavy into attack speed, and we're talking extremely high attack speeds, like over 600 attack speed, so over 500 additional. So for most players, as long as she has something to hit, it'll be 5 seconds on, 6 seconds off, but remember, she does need something to hit, so unless it's like continuous AoE mob content, which we don't really have in this game, I guess towards the end of Gear Aid 1 it is like that, but otherwise you won't get full advantage of this. It's pretty solid. It also comes with enemies in this realm will also receive 60% AoE damage per second over those 5 seconds, so it's 300% AoE damage. That is not enough because there's like no other damage in her entire kit. So speaking of the rest of the kit, she's a single target mage on her basic. Actually, the only AoE in her kit comes from this. So I'll tell you right off the bat, if they wanted to buff her, if this was 150% AoE damage per second, that's really spicy. We've got a real character on our hands. Maybe even like 100 or 120. But as it stands now, this is the only true AoE in her kit because like you can see, the basic attack is 120% magic damage. By the way, all the numbers you're going to hear in this video are at full skill ups, but it's 120% magic damage to one enemy. Also, by the way, sorry I buried it, but it's bad news. Her range sucks. She has that support range, the 3x4 where she's offset up a tile, so she's not at the back of her range. This makes her really hard to use for a lot of things. Let's go to the ultimate now. In her ultimate, nothing changes. She's just going to have more basic attacks with a little more damage. You can see she enters a new stance, and this boosts her attack by 60%, but this is not the attack you've built upon her. This is her base attack. she's got like 2,300 base attack. So if we do some math, we're talking what? 1,300 additional attacks, something like that. It's very negligible, right? It's really, I think it's about 13 or 1,350. That brings her up to a terrible amount of attack. We're talking 3,600, 3,700 attack. It only lasts 15 seconds. It is pretty cheap. You do need to skill it up. By the way, that's the other thing that just drives me crazy. No one's going to skill her up because she sucks. The attack boost starts at 50%, not 60. The duration starts at 10 seconds, not 15. And the cost starts at 700, not 600. No one's skilling her up, not in her current state. So it's just very, very lame. Final thing about her ultimate, she does double hitters with her ultimate. Her Grimoire, which is her spell book over here, will also attack with her. So they're both doing single target basic attacks. So technically it's a double hitter, a 2x hitter, wherever it's going. The Grimoire also gets the lame attack boost off of the terrible base attack. Let's go to the passives now. Overflowing Energy. When she summons her Arcane Realm, she's got a chance of 50-50 once you skill her up to summon an additional Arcane Realm. So now we're getting to that 120% AoE damage per second if you've got like 2 overlapping realms. But again, that being said, as you see her practically, even with the 2, it's not enough. You need double that, right? So it needs to start at 120 and then go to 240, something like that, because the damage isn't even close to there. Or they just need to make her base attack 3,500 or 4,000 or 4,500, because it's a joke right now. Second passive, Energy Conversion. After the hero or her Grimoire summons the Arcane Realm, it increases her attack by 75% permanently up to 5 times. So now you're thinking, okay, cool. So in a long battle, she can get a ton more attack, right? No, right? It's 35% attack, 35% of 2,300. I mean, let's just do the math together. 2,300 times 35, it's going to be 3,105. This stuff's going to be additive too, so maybe she's ulting, you get another 60, so now it's times 1.95, so it's a 95% boost. That brings up to 4,485. That's less than where Comet begins, and that is her at her maxed out attack potential. She's not even reaching the decent base level of a good mage. So it's just, the whole kit is a mess in my opinion. Finally, the last passive we talked about it, Esoteric Wisdom. This is like the one unique thing in her kit. I'm going to spend 20 seconds tops talking about Awakenings because no one's putting Soul Stones into her, and as of now, she's not in the summoning pool. The A1 over here, she gets an attack speed boost, fine. Here she gets plus 300 attack. This would be significant, but not enough to ever make you dream of using a Soul Stone. Now the A3, if the hero summons Arcane Realm in the Arcane stance, it's got a longer duration. Awesome. So she's ulting, it will last for 8 seconds, not 5 seconds. That's not enough. Now we got an increased damage, fine, and then the A5, the damage per second from the Arcane Realm is now 80%, so not even approaching what I think it should have started at. She's a mess. She is a mess. So at long last, let me show you in content and actually prove everything I've been telling you guys about her, but I really am not worried that you guys will disagree, because you're not going to. You're going to agree. She's very bad. So this is her build. We'll go through everyone's build very quickly. I'm doing her in Wisdom. She ults a lot. That's a fine set. I'm trying to get her attack as high as possible. I'm looking for attack bonus, flat attack when I can get it. A little Rage Regen didn't hurt. I'm trying not to go too crazy on the stats because I want this stuff to be relatable. So even though it's ancient, I want it to be, reasonable ancient stuff. That's why we also went tier 1. She's got tier Twilight over here. Fine. And then these are the base stats again. She's at a 1.2 second interval. She's just over 10,000 attack. She's at 315% crit damage, and she is capped. Let's go to Magda. I ran her in Night Terror because we had limited Wisdom. I'll just show you the full stats right now. You can pause it if you want to see. Let's go to the artifact. She is in Frigid Flame. She's never going to get attacked during this battle, so this is definitely like a best in slot for her. 33% damage boost. Eluin, we don't need to spend any time. It's just broken set with Salvation on the side. Trying to get her attack high, speed high, all that stuff. Same exact story for Hollow while we're on the subject. Again, I'm going broken set. I don't want some characters getting Invig and some not. So yeah, just looking for attack speed, a little heal effect, and Rage Regen if we can get it. Simple build. You can pause if you need. She's in the Euphoric Orb. Eluin, by the way, is in a Golden Scarab. Let's go to Iona. Iona's in our other Wisdom set. The stats are very, very similar. This piece is really good, actually. But the stats are very similar to, I guess Iona's gear is slightly better. But it needs to be, because we wouldn't clear this if we put the worst gear on Iona and the better gear on Carosa. But it's the same idea, right? She's going to be our main DPS for this fight, or for parts of this fight. I jacked up the HP a little bit so she doesn't die. There you go. There's a reasonable piece. But all in all, just a standard Iona. Getting the attack high, getting the crit damage high, getting her fast enough. That'll be that. She is also in a tier of Twilight. We talked about Carosa. I'm going to run Diao Chan so it's consistent through all our testing. We have the 100% uptime on the inspiration. But you'll see the way I want to use Diao Chan, I cannot because of Carosa. So as we head into this first battle, I'll show you like the final way she sucks ass. But here's Diao Chan, really just going for attack and then some HP. Pretty simple build. She is in a Golden Scarab as well, I believe. There we go. And I think that just about covers it. Oh, we just have Anora. Anora's in full broken set. The only boost I think she could get from a tier 1 set would be Insight, but that's pretty negligible, so I just went for better stats, broken set. You would want to run her in Infernal Roar if you're using your tier 2 or tier 3 gear. But you can see the stats are pretty reasonable. Going for some HP again so she doesn't die on the side. This is our Anora. I can't make her unbound, unfortunately, because I can't like remove Yumerit from the account. I really want to request, I've done this a couple times, but I want to ask the devs again if they could add a toggle for turning on and off bond skills on the test server. But there you go. Very low crit damage. It's like a totally normal build. For her artifact, she is in a tier of Twilight as well. There you go. that's everything. And then we got Marri. She's got HP, she's got speed, she's got regen, broken set, even broken set on the left as well. HP high enough that she doesn't die, and we're good to go. So let's head into battle. I want to tell you the Diao Chan thing right off the bat. First test is going to be the Carosa comp. Then we're going to put in Marri for Carosa. Then we are going to put in Abyzou for Carosa. And you're really going to see, oh, she's worse as a debuffer and as a damage dealer than very simple epic options. All right, so let's head in now. First thing I'm going to quickly show you the clunkiness Carosa introduces to your fight if you want to use someone like a Diao Chan. And this is actually true whether it's A0 Diao Chan or A1. It just is different in each example, as you'll learn now. But Carosa has this terrible range, right? I mean, this is very rough. Even if you want to run her main DPS, she'll never reach this final row. She's kind of hidden here, so it's like, where do you put her? Ideally, you'd want to hide your support over here or something, but now she's only touching one relevant tile plus these people as they come over. So that doesn't work. So effectively, you kind of have to run her here, but you'd really prefer to run your Diao Chan here. If you have an A0 Diao Chan and she has like the normal Dolores range, you would want her here because then she can touch at least one melee spot. If she had the normal diamond with here, she doesn't get this spot, so she wouldn't be touching. But then also, if you do have her A1, you want to run her here because you want to put like your Magda or your Estrid or your Eris, someone in the middle. And that's like the beauty of Diao Chan. But when you bring Carosa, you're really limited. Now you're thinking, okay, but can't you just put Carosa on the other side? By the way, this is like obviously where I'm putting my inspiration, the way I set up. I know some people do the inverse. But can't you put Carosa on the other side without your inspiration unit? Sure, but then she has no inspiration. She already has basement level attack. Now she's unusable as a DPS. She's not even mediocre. She's just terrible. And she's a worse debuffer than Marri. So why wouldn't you use your day 3 free to play, easy to build epic Marri as opposed to Carosa over here, who you're never going to skill up and who sucks? So I hope that makes sense. Let's get into the battle. I'm not going to make you guys sit through these whole things. We'll just do the setup and then we'll cut to the end for comparisons. But I think it speaks for itself, really. So let's place Carosa here. We're going to place Yona here. Place Diao Chan here to accommodate Carosa. Though, keep in mind, if we could put Diao Chan here, we could have put Magda here. Maybe we'll do one run like that at the end, and you'll just see it is night and day getting Carosa out of this comp and getting someone like Magda to the middle, and it's just... And it could be Estrid, dude. It doesn't have to be like an amazing legendary like Magda. But there you go. As soon as we get 19, we'll put Anora over here. Anora can't be inspired, so she's always a great unit for this to put on the other side. As soon as those guys start to turn down, we'll go Iona into Carosa. Now we'll go Anora. Most of the setup's already done. We can place Elwyn down there. Start getting some rage regen. You don't need Elwyn for this, but if you have rage problems, no reason not to bring her. But any healer for Anora would do. Let's get Hollow there. We always get our one Comatose Straggler. Obviously, the gearing here is nothing crazy, so this actually isn't such, you know, a dominant run. We do beat it every time, but it's a little more realistic, a little more sweaty, I do believe. We can trigger Carosa and Iona now, so we can start killing these Aura guys. And now we're kind of already settled in. You get the picture. I really think there's not much more to see. I'm just going to... I'll run it. We'll just speed it up to like 3x for people that want to follow along. but I don't think there's too much more for me to explain. I'm not going to deploy the final unit. I just want to keep it clean and consistent, so we're going to stick with these 7. Let's check in towards the end as we're getting our kill, and we'll look at the stats and try to get an impression. Oh, how did Carosa do it for DPS? How much was she boosting with her passive for Iona and Nora as opposed to not boosting Magda? It's going to set a nice baseline. I'll see you at the end. All right, end of the fight here, guys. We just got to pick off this last guy. Good. So now the boss won't heal himself. Hopefully, I'm going to pick off that last straggler on the side with the same amount of time remaining every time. Because, you know, if the boss can keep healing himself up and healing the other allied enemies of his up, there's too much damage to go around. It's going to inflate our numbers. But yeah, that was pretty dang clean. So hopefully it's that clean every time. And there we have it. That's going to be our kill. You can see the wall was in pretty good health. It's not like it's a bad comp. The comp works super well. You should definitely copy it if you need. But it's not like we're just dunking on them like we do sometimes in these guides. Or these showcases, I should say. The guides I try to make more accessible. But here you go. Here are the stats. And you can see it's not like Carosa does nothing, but she's basically wearing the best tier 1 gear on the account. She's ulting the most. I'm timing her out the best. And she is the worst. Time and time again. I've probably done a dozen runs. She's always the worst. By varying degrees, but she is definitively and always the worst. And as you're going to see right now, it might be you might think to yourself, oh, 47 million, that's actually really good. That's just unneeded damage we need. I'm going to put in Marri at this moment. All these guys' numbers will go up because they just have more damage. There's less damage, less units sharing all the damage, so they'll be inflated, but the run is just way cleaner. The second we put Marri in, getting basically the same amount of vulnerability with similar uptime, and then all the crowd control on a much easier to build unit, it is night and day. So there you go. Also remember these numbers, or maybe not the numbers, but like the comparison. You can see they're basically even, 58, 57, 56. Now we're taking out Carosa, so we're not going to get the mage boost. Let's see, how great was the 6%? Not that great. You're gonna see now. Let's exit out. Let's throw in Marri. For this one, I'm gonna do the setup with you, and then we'll throw it on like 6 or 7x. It really doesn't matter because it's the exact same strategy, and I really want to keep the guide moving. But we'll really check in at the end of the fight after the setup, and we'll look at what those results look like, what those stats look like. We can just take out Carosa here. Let's put in Marri. Hop right back in. Normally, I would never run Marri on my left side the way I use the inspiration units. However, I will do it this time because I just want it to be completely consistent with Carosa. But like you can imagine, if I just put Marri here, because why wouldn't I? Then we could put Diabchan here, then we could put Magda here. I'll definitely do that run for you, and you'll just see it's night and day. It really is. Let's throw it on 2x. There you go. Maybe we'll do just till we clear this first bit before the wall, and then we'll throw this into hyperspeed. Another thing with Marri, because she's 13 cost and Carosa's 16, she's 3 costs cheaper. I've actually tested it. I'm not going to do it here for consistency's sake, but we could do Magda, then Hollow, then Elowen. We could do that. We'd have the cost for that. Where Carosa, you wouldn't. So for this comp, it doesn't matter, but if you had a sweatier situation on your account, that's something to keep in mind. Get freeze with Marri and ensure some vulnerabilities. Looks good. Let's get Elowen. You can see it's the exact same situation. And it will continue to be the exact same situation, except the wall will be in great shape because we'll have so much crowd control. All right, gonna throw this on like 6x, 7x. See you towards the end of the fight. All right, guys, end of the fight here. Hopefully we can pick this guy off in time. He might mess up the stats and inflate our damage, unfortunately. But you'll still get the ratios and you'll get the perspective. I hate when this happens, though. Come on, guys, get that kill. Let's see. Oh, please pick him up, please. Oh my god, I hate when that happens. I will say though, you'll see even as this fight's dragged on far longer than it should have because we're not timing the kill on this guy. The wall has still survived the entire time, and that really just is it really not going to drop here? Are you serious? It's so unfortunate. Okay, there we go. Because Marri, like, her slows and her freezes don't just, make it easier so you have more time and stuff. It slows down when these units are attacking the wall, which is really powerful, obviously, because, yeah, the wall has a lot more health because they can't be hitting at us frequently. Sorry about that little funkiness at the end there. When you don't bring an anti-healer, there can be random moments of RNG like that, but you get it. There's no world we were going to lose that fight, even with that unfortunate little straggler RNG. And you can see Magda does shoot up as our number one now because there's no mage boost and because of the funkiness at the end, but it's just we're in complete control. Everyone's doing over 80 million. There's no issue here. Carosa was never needed. And here's our fully skilled Marri when you guys would not be bringing in a fully skilled Carosa, and the fight's just going smoother. Next thing, though, we're going to bring in an Abyzou now. We're just going to take Carosa's gear and put it on Abyzou, and you're going to see that, the damage can be at least as good with Abyzou, and it's just a much simpler thing, because, again, you're just never going to... That's kind of... I know I circle back to that in a lot of content, but you're just never going to max skill unless you're very deep in the game, and then who cares? You're never going to max skill a bad character. A bad legendary character. Legendary skill crystals are so rare. Even when you're as deep in the game as I am, it's not like I'm sitting on some stockpile that I could max out every one. You still need to be selective. So it's pretty... I think it's pretty key that if you have a better epic alternative, please use the epic. Don't use the legendary because they're gold and shiny. So let's get into it now with Abyzou. We can take Marri out. Let's put Abyzou in wherever the heck she went. There she is. All right, it's going to be the same setup. You don't have to see it. We'll check in at the end of the fight, see how Abyzou did. Spoiler alert, she's going to do just fine. All right, guys, here we go at the end of the fight. Looks like we're in pretty good control of these stragglers, too. Let's get these ults while they're not healing. That's also the key thing, guys. If you're not using an anti-healer, especially if you got these big guys at the end, try to time the big damage, try to time the big ults in pockets of not healing, obviously. But there we go. This was by far our smoothest run. They did put a little bit of a beating into the wall, kind of similar to that first run with Carosa. It's bigger beating than it would have been with Marri without the stragglers. We obviously didn't have the crowd control, but we tore through this. It was definitely our fastest run. You can take my word for that, and you'll just see, you'll see Abyzou's numbers. You'll see in a second. Abyzou, by the way, is in the Ancient Summoning Pool now, too, so she's become a ton more accessible. So I hope everyone can get a copy if they're hurting for AoE mage DPS. Let's go in here. Let's get a little check-in, and you can see they're all right there, right? So Carosa was between 10 and 20 million less than everyone else from all my testing, and here Abyzou's right among the ranks, within striking distance of all the other ones, a bit more than Magda here. Similar to Iona, a bit less than Honora. But another key thing to remember, if you remember the Carosa boost, right, it was like 57, 58, 56, and 46, or 47 for Carosa. So all these guys did more, and we're still at that 55, 58 range on damage. So that mage damage boost effectively wasn't moving the needle in any real way. What I want to show you now, though, is put it all together, right? Okay, we get it. Carosa, no good. Get her out of here. What if we just build the whole comp? What do I mean by that? Let's do what we actually want to do. So we don't need Abyzou. It's overkill. You've seen it multiple times that the DPS is good to go. Let's bring in Marri. Let's do a full 8-person team. And by the way, you could do this team and then just have Carosa in the last spot. Why not? Right? You'll get a little boost. It's better than nothing. But yeah, you guys are going to see with this comp now where we're not trying to accommodate a hero like Carosa, who we shouldn't actually be using, who's really suboptimal. The run is just smooth like butter. So let's head into it, and you'll go and see. It's going to be a beautiful thing. The only real thing that's going to change from the beginning is we're just going to shift Diao-Chan up a spot, but remember how important that is. If you put her in the spot we had her in and she was a 0, not a 1, she wouldn't even be able to touch this tile. And now, if you put her here, she will be, but because she is a 1, she can now touch the middle melee tile behind the wall as well, which is just night and day for Magda. So let's switch her to black mode, throw it on 2x. I want to show you how Magda can pop off in the center spot as well, so let's get her placed already. Let's wait a moment. You can also place a Nora. And because we're using Marri, not Carosa, not Abyzou, she's cheaper. We're going to be able to get Marri down, then Hollow, then Elowen. We're going to be able to sweat that out. Let's get some ults going and just tear through this. I mean, look at that. We have everything set up the way it should be. It's night and day. We can get Marri there. Did we pick off the spool? There we go. I mean, how pretty is that? Let's get Hollow. This always looks sweaty, but we can get Elowen out just in time, as you're about to see. And there you have it. I'll probably throw this on 6x again. Maybe we'll check back in when we're at like 40 plus kills or something, so you can really see how smooth it runs when you do it all right. But again, this is all the same gear. Nothing's changed, except we're not trying to force Carosa or Carosa style strategies for comparison. We're just going to do it our correct way. And it's beautiful. All right, see you in a bit. All right, let's just check in here, guys, and we'll start doing our conclusion while I wrap this fight up. You can just see this is like by far the cleanest we've had so far. Even Iona died. Even with Iona dying, we'll still win. That's too bad. That's just me mistiming Hollow's ultimate, unfortunately. But yeah, no, we can still make our conclusion here. Maybe even Iona dying helps prove the point because you can see how dominant it is when you do it properly. But yeah, basically, is Carosa in a vacuum terrible? No, I'd say she's like a 4 out of 10 legendary. But as a fusion, I would say she is because she's directly inferior to epic options. So for a not even top tier, mediocre tier, or decent tier legendary, for her not to be above the level for her couple rolls of epic options, I think she's truly unusable. I think other fusions that you think could maybe in some ways, somehow maybe be worse. I think it's hard to argue if there's anyone worse. But even in those cases, like a Crodor, who people I know don't love anymore, or certainly a Ma, or even a Selene, at least there's a use case. Selene can be a pretty good DPS on an Esotericist boss team. I know that's niche, but at least she can do it. She does receive a very valuable bond skill from Giselle, which gives her the strongest single target magic vulnerability in the game. At least she has that. At least there's a way she can grow in the game. Crodor has his special Northerner passive with the extra block. He has the huge block to begin with from his ultimate. He's very meta in Tank Codex. We knew that when he was originally released, that he was going to be a niche thing for one thing, but he's still, top teams in the world for it. And then, of course, Ma is an amazing BP unit for people that care about Guild Wars. So they all have a use case. I truly do not see the use case for Carosa outside of what I just inadvertently set up here, which is if you're running a comp like this, right? That's a solid 8-man comp. Let's go back to 21. Solid 8-man comp. And you have an open spot and you know you're not going to use it. This is the only singular use case. You have an open spot. You have no one else to bring, so why not get 6% more damage for your mages? That is all I see for her right now, and that might help like 3 players that are like this close at one moment, but for the vast majority of players, you're not going to have an open spot, or if you do, you'd rather bring a Cerberus or an Aatrox to drop or something than this crappy-ass hero. I don't know how else to say it. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan at all. That is Carosa, guys. Remember, though, I still consider her an absolute must-fuse unit without exception because she's so bad she'll be buffed. Thank you guys so much for watching. I've been Fastidious. If you enjoy my content and these long guides that take me way too long to make, please make sure you are subscribed to the channel. A big thank you to R-Type for editing this video. Share it with your mother, guys, and I'll see you real soon. Bye.
Fastidious.